Live yet or no?
We are live now.
You are looking live at WJR Studios.
Thank you, Brent Musburger.
I used to love that. That was the best.
Yes, the man. Does a great like betting. Has a whole wagering network in Vegas now.
Yeah, I saw something on him. I thought that was pretty cool. I don't know where I saw that, but that was pretty cool. Was that a 30 for 30 or something?
No, he just has like this whole network.
No, I know he does, but
it might have been. It might have been. Who knows?
I didn't find his whole network. I just.
Yeah, very cool. Love Brent Musburger.
We're talking to someone from the D Las Vegas today.
Love the D. Been there many times.
You can pop on for that segment if you want.
The long bar.
You're always welcome.
Cool. Yeah, the
all right, guys, have fun.
He's the D is cool, and I think he's building another casino that's going to be connected.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I forget what it's called though, because I think he owns the D and he owns. There's another casino that's right across around the kitty corner from the D that he owns too.
It's a good spot. It's a good spot. Hey Clay, welcome to Facebook Live.
The two sides really are. White House
Clay is in the house.
He held a briefing and criticized Pelosi and Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer for their negotiations.
Hold on a second. You know who that is? That's
making an absolute mockery of this.
That's the interview we're supposed to do on Friday, not today.
Just tell them we have them for Friday.
Oh my God. All right, hold on a second.
What their initial request was of $3 trillion, and then they moved to $3.4 trillion. They wanted $100 billion for schools, and we offered $105 billion, to which they rejected.
Asked if she had
Krista, we had you scheduled for Friday at 5 o'clock.
3.4 trillion.
Yeah, not today. But that's okay. Does Friday work for you? Friday at 5:05?
Hey Clay, what's going on?
Perfect. Yes.
Vote. I voted.
We definitely want to.
You're going to hear about it. It was quiet for sure. It was not crowded.
Klages is the third former MSU official to face.
Okay.
Did you vote, Clay?
Former boss William Strample was
got a
sentenced
phone
to
call
a year
now.
in jail,
Hold on.
but he was released 4 months early. And former MSU President Luana Simon was charged with lying to police.
Hello?
But a judge dismissed the case, saying
What's up,
prosecutors didn't present enough evidence. Attorney General Dana Nessel appealed that decision last month. Will it be in school, person teaching?
I did, but it's got the golf course in the background because it's under Rocket Mortgage. That's the only problem.
Governor Whitmer says she is weighing all the options.
I didn't know how to do that, so I just got the WJR one that we used before. So you have to show me how to do that. Okay, thanks, man.
All right, nice job, Clay. Well done. That's two of us that voted.
Upside, the Dow finished.
Dave, did you vote?
No, I did mail-in.
You mailed it. Well, you still voted.
Yeah, I voted. Yeah, I did a mail-in. Yes, I wasn't going to go stand in line. And
Clay, what time did you vote to be number 40? I was under 40 at 8:30.
MEDC has dedicated programs and resources available.
And I also did not get any ballots sent to my house of former people who live there. Or dead people or anything like that.
We didn't get dead people, but we got ballots to people who used to live here and people who never lived here. Clint Forrester, what up? Did you vote today, Clint? I voted over here.
Every dollar donated to Gleaner's Hunger-Free Summer provides 6 meals to kids and others in need.
Yes, Clay, I did vote. I mailed it in.
Mailed it in. Just like we're going to do this show today.
Licking the stamp, baby.
Mailing it in.
All right. We got about 1 minute till we're going to come live here.
All right. 1 minute.
Give me the 30 seconds and then I will exit and we'll get you started here, Kev.
All right. Sounds good.
32 years, we've shown people just like you how much you need to save.
All right, here we go.
And your chance. Call us for the personal financial advice and investment management services you need with local offices to serve you. At Edelman Financial Engines,
52, well done.
You have a little to invest or a lot or anything in between.
I was in at 8:30 and was like number 37.
Like you, rely on Edelman Financial Engines. Call us at 888.
All right, Suzanne mailed her soon.
Plan Rick or visit us at rickedelman.com.
All right, Facebook, I got to jump over to the other side for a minute. I'll be back.
Welcome to Albom in the Afternoon performance on this, the second day of 1996.
This is an unusual guy, this Mitch Albom.
The Mitch Albom Show! Glad to have you with us both on MSNBC and all across the nation. Kenny Brown.
The most dominant co-host in the game.
Hey, Mitch! The longest-running afternoon show in Detroit radio. The Mitch Albom Show starts now.
Sitting in for Mitch, here's Kevin Dietz.
Happy primary election day. I got out of my car at about 8:30 this morning and walked towards the elementary school door that is my assigned voting location. When I opened the door, there were about 5 workers, 4 of them most likely over 70 years old. A couple of them had face masks on. A couple of them had those full face shields. There were several hand sanitizer stations. The big health concern today at the polls was that those voting did not have to wear face masks. Everyone inside to vote when I was there had one on. But I don't know if it would have mattered. There were only 3 other people there to vote. Social distancing was not a problem. I voted quickly, put on my I voted sticker, sanitized my hands, and said goodbye. Reports of low turnout poured in from many communities as people either already voted by mail or decided to stay home. This was what an election in a pandemic looks like. What does it all mean? Let's ask our first guest, Oakland University professor of political science, David Dulio. Dave, thanks for being on the Mitch Albom Show.
It's my pleasure, Kevin. Good to talk to you.
It's good to talk to you as well. I hope you voted either by mail or in person today.
I'm actually going to head to the polls right as soon as I hang up with you.
All right. Good man. Good man. So what is your early takeaway from what we've been seeing so far with the light turnout at the polls?
Well, I think it's uncertainty on a whole host of levels. And I think while we can normally, or under normal circumstances, get a sense of turnout by looking at the number of people who are in line at our local precinct or getting some reports from across the state, we won't be able to do that this time because so many folks have requested absentee ballots. And we'll see what the turnout is when everything's counted. And that's the other piece of uncertainty is when are we going to get full and complete results?
Yeah, so record number of absentee ballots. They've started to count them, but it's going to be slower than it would be if people had voted in person, right?
Correct. And that's it, at least in part because there are some checks that need to happen to make sure that signatures match from the application to the ballot. And it's just a slower process.
Do you think there's going to be more mistakes? I won't say fraud at this time, but do you think there's going to be more mistakes with more people mailing it in?
Well, I think that depends on the processes that the clerks have in place, and they've had a lot of time to get ready for this in terms of thinking about how they're going to handle it. I don't think there's any question that the election officials probably don't have as many people as they would like to count the ballots, but I think we can be confident that they've got the right processes in place.
So who does it favor if people are mailing it in versus going in? Does it favor one political party over the other?
I don't think it does. I think it is really about campaigns and candidates using the campaign organization that they have established to identify their supporters, find out if they requested an absentee ballot, and then turning those folks out, making sure that they sent their absentee ballot in or dropped it off at the clerk's office. So I think it probably doesn't favor one party or the other. It favors a strong campaign organization over a weak one.
I like the camaraderie of seeing people at the voting booth. I like going in. I like walking in there. I like getting my sticker. Today I saw my neighbor Jane Buckley was voting next to me. Said hello. That was nice. Do you think people are afraid? Because I felt really, really safe there today. I didn't feel that threatened at all that I was going to catch COVID. There was very few people there. Everyone in the building had masks on. There was sanitizer. I just felt like it wasn't about safety. It was more about people maybe just not being interested.
That's certainly possible. And we'll find that out when we get some full turnout numbers. And Kevin, I agree with you. I like to go to the polling place. I like to watch my ballot go through the machine and get my sticker. And I was actually having a conversation with a neighbor about this just earlier this week, and she asked me if I was going to vote in person, and I said yes, and she seemed aghast at that. And I asked her, where is social distancing going to be more enforced, at the polling locations or at the supermarket? And she kind of shook her head and said, probably at the polling place.
Yeah. I think that's absolutely true. They were also cleaning the tables that you sat down to fill out your ballot on after every person came in. I felt very safe. There was a lot of talk though about the fact that people voting did not have to wear masks. Is that a constitutional issue?
That's a good question. I think that it's a bit surprising that that's the case. There have been requirements imposed, and that's not a judgment, right, on anybody that's imposing those requirements, but they've been imposed elsewhere. I wonder why it wasn't at the polling places.
Yeah, I kind of felt like if they had, maybe they were concerned that there would be legal challenges after somehow, so that they didn't want to put anything too restrictive on people voting to force legal action. I'm not sure.
Well, we've certainly seen that in the last 4 or 5 months, right, where folks challenge orders here and there, and frankly, it takes a while for those to work through the courts. But I guess one of the good things is that we don't have to deal with that, at least right now, another court challenge related to the primary.
There were a few polling places that were short of election workers. Some counties actually had to send people out because people didn't show up. I don't know if they were afraid. Everyone where I voted was of a vulnerable age. They were definitely seniors. Do you think by November something could be put in place to get more volunteers or younger volunteers or more people involved?
Well, that's a great point. And it's true that when, just think about when the listeners go to the polls, or when they've gone in the past, think about who's been the poll worker, right? It's usually let's say some of our more seasoned citizens, and they are that vulnerable population. There's an effort underway, and an organization called Campus Compact here in Michigan that's working to recruit college students, younger members of the population, to be trained as election workers so that we are ready to go for November.
Well, the reports from around the state that there were very few problems, that everything was going very smoothly, but the bad news is that's because turnout was so light. We'll have to see what the eventual numbers are after the polls close. Do me a favor and shoot me a text, David, after you vote. Let me know if what the crowds were like or how many people were there. We appreciate you coming on the Mitch Albom Show today.
Will do. Good to talk to you, Kevin.
All right, David Dulio, Oakland University. We're going to take a quick break on the Mitch Albom Show. We'll be back with much, much more. We're going to check in with Rich Lazinski on traffic and weather.
WJR Traffic First is sponsored by Marathon Petroleum. No matter where your travels take you, Marathon can improve your engine performance with quality top-tier gasoline. Marathon, fueling the American spirit. We have an accident on I-94 eastbound at I-69 that's been moved to the right shoulder, but it's still a bit slow on that stretch of freeway. Another wreck on the Lodge southbound at Jefferson Avenue that's blocking your left shoulder. And that wreck on US 23 northbound after Thompson Road is cleared. Now WJR Weather First from the Weather Channel. Sponsored by the Mechanical Contractors Association of Detroit. When your commercial, industrial, public, or residential project calls for plumbers, pipe fitters, or HVAC service technicians, the Mechanical Contractors Association of Detroit connects you with the very best highly skilled and trained union contractors. To get started on your next project, visit mcadetroit.org. Here's your forecast.
A couple of sprinkles on weather radar drifting to the east, and some light showers down in Ohio also. 71 degrees this afternoon, 57 are cool low tonight, and highs in the 70s tomorrow, Thursday, 80s return Friday, Saturday. I'm meteorologist Scott Laurie, more on News Talk 760 WJR.
Whether you're tech savvy or old school, Bill Brown Ford has the best of both worlds. Bill Brown Ford, proud
going to be stuck in our house anyway. Let's get some of those DIY projects done around the house. The inside outside guys.
So Mike Parsons, Kev, who you know,
yes,
he went to try to vote this morning, but they had moved his voting place, and it was also a place like a food pantry, so he couldn't even get near it. So he was going to try to go again tonight.
Wow.
So it makes you wonder. So why would they have made a voting place the same as like a food pantry and 2 in 1?
I wonder if they had to add additional places for possible social distancing problems, because they talked about how people were going to have to wait outside if it was too crowded, and they did. There's several places in Detroit that people were confused. They showed up to vote where they normally do, and it had been moved, and there was late notice. So they were trying to make arrangements for that. You don't want to have anything that keeps people who want to vote from voting. That's for sure.
Right. Yeah. There was not very many people in the parking lot at the school where I normally would vote at when I left to come to the radio station today.
Oh, really?
So
Yeah.
The parking lot was far from full.
There was a lot of signage up, but not a lot of people. I just did not. I did not see it, and there wasn't a lot of enthusiasm that things were going to pick up necessarily. But sometimes at the end of the day after work, people go vote. And I know it's a primary, and I'm sure things will be very different in November. But what's so important is this was like a good, good opportunity to get ready for November. But I don't know if we tested the system very hard.
Right, because it's supposed to be worse in the fall. So
right.
Still waiting on our next guest to call. So
Linda.
Yeah.
2 minutes.
But we got a couple of minutes here until she's supposed to call in. So
all right.
So Clay, I don't know how rich his experience was. We'll have to ask him. I'm not sure if he voted. But
because we can't get him on the stream.
Yeah, from the studio. We're still working on that.
We get him on in the morning, but
yeah,
it takes a little bit to work out the kinks.
Yeah. Why is it Clay? Why is the next election the one that we really need to watch?
In November?
Are we talking about November? Or are you talking about 4 years down the line after this one? And how about Matthew Stafford with a false positive?
Yeah.
Yeah. Very interesting. Very interesting.
Breaking Facebook Live news.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to put the station back in here. And
all right. Will you tell me when she's there?
Yep, I will.
Invites them to apply, which is why you should try Ziprecruiter for free.
We were very impressed with how quickly we had quality candidates apply through Ziprecruiter. Ziprecruiter is a powerful tool in our hiring process.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And now you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. At ZipRecruiter.com/search. That's ZipRecruiter.com/search. ZipRecruiter.com/search.
Sitting in for Mitch, here's Kevin Dietz.
The House Oversight Committee has invited the new Postmaster General to appear at a hearing next month to examine operational changes to the U.S. Postal Service that are causing delays in mail deliveries. If you don't want to wait, you can just ask your mail carrier. They'll tell you. They used to sort all the mail and then go deliver all the mail. Now they sort first class and deliver it. Then they go back to the station, sorting area, and they sort the second and third class mail. If there's not enough time left in their shift to deliver that mail without overtime, that mail sits until the next day. Postal workers say they don't like it, and they're not even sure it saves money. Customers aren't happy either because it's taking longer to get their mail. Joining us from Washington, D.C. is Linda Kenyon from Westwood One. Linda, thanks for being on the show.
Happy to be here. Thank you.
So who is this new Postmaster General who's causing such a ruckus?
Well, his name is Louis DeJoy, and he's a Republican fundraiser. He hasn't been on the job very long, just a couple of months. And he is behind eliminating overtime for the postal workers. And this is going to lead to some delays in delivery of mail.
So on the one hand, you have to admit that the post office doesn't exactly make money. I think they lost about $10 billion last year. They need to probably make some changes with everybody using email and other delivery systems. But these changes they're definitely not favorable for workers, at least the ones I've talked to.
No, they're not. And it also comes at a difficult time when there is this controversy that about mail-in balloting during the elections. The president saying that mail-in balloting is rife with, the possibility of voter fraud, although there hasn't been any real studies that have shown that to be the case. But given the coronavirus and the times in which we live, there's going to be a lot more votes cast by mail. And if the Postal Service can't deliver, so to speak, it's going to cause some real problems. And at the very least, it'll sort of plant that seed of doubt about whether the elections are being conducted properly.
So some of the conspiracy theory people I talk to, they say this is intentional. This was a plan to put in a postmaster general who's going to make people so uncertain of the mail that they won't vote by mail and they'll go and vote in person. Do you think there's any possibility that this is a planned idea to sway the election one way or the other?
Well, I can't speak to that, but I can say that the president has been able to sow the seeds of doubt about mail-in balloting, and certainly among his supporters. Well, Democrats have been saying that this is not a matter of whether people prefer to go to the polls. This is a matter of life and death. If you force people during a pandemic to choose between their health or exercising their right to vote, that is an unfair question, and voters should not be forced to answer that question.
So there's going to be a hearing. What are you anticipating is going to happen?
Well, this will be a hearing of the Oversight Panel, the House Oversight Committee, and it's not scheduled until September 17th. And that is, coming rather close to the elections before anything can really be changed at the Postal Service. So very little time between that hearing and the actual election day. So mostly, I would imagine it's going to be a pretty heated committee hearing, and the chairman of the committee, Carolyn Maloney, who is a Democrat from New York, as we should say, does not suffer fools gladly. So she is going to probably give this new Postmaster General a very hard time with very direct questions.
Do you think September 17th is enough time to evaluate the impact on the primary election to see if people felt like they didn't have an opportunity to vote because of the slow mail system?
Well, there might be some anecdotal stories from various states that have had the primaries. We have a number of states holding primaries today, by the way, and some of it has been done through mail-in balloting, some in person. We do know that when we've had previous primaries, people who had to wait in line in order to vote in person, many of them did become sick in various states, as did the workers at the polls. So one of the complications we're going to have is to see how many poll workers will actually show up. I know here in the Washington, D.C. area, people who have volunteered to work the polls have since backed out saying it's not safe. So that is going to put a much higher burden on the U.S. mail.
Yeah, it's election day here in Detroit, and we did have some communities where workers did not show up, and we had to send about 50 subs over, and it did cause some delays. Everyone was able to vote, but one poll or two polls didn't open until an hour later than they normally would have. There definitely was concern. Some at the place I voted today, everybody showed up, but of the 5 workers that were at the school I was at, I think 4, maybe all 5 of them were over 70 years old. This was definitely a vulnerable age group. So it makes you wonder if people who are in their 70s were, going to go to the polls if they hadn't mailed in their ballot. And I'm sure they worry that the mail, they know the mail's coming late because they get an invitation to an event, and the invitation is like 2 days later, when normally you'd get an invitation a week in advance or 2 weeks in advance. So they know the mail is moving slow, and they have to have some concerns about sending in their vote.
But it does speak to your earlier question about whether somebody is actually putting the brakes on the mail service, and whether that be true. And it seems, it probably is just a concern, but not a reality. But nonetheless, the reality is when that mail hits your mailbox, if it's after the event, you're not happy about it. And we still, even though the Postal Service has been struggling for many years, and it's lost in terms of volume, a lot of mail because of internet, online bill payment, and things of that nature. The Postal Service is still quite vital to a lot of Americans, and they don't want to see it going away.
Do they feel like it's this Postmaster General's lack of experience that's causing the problems, or a philosophy pivot?
It's hard to say, really. I think they're going to get to the bottom of that at the hearing. But he hasn't been on the job very long. He's already making a lot of waves.
Yeah, I know. Postal carriers that I've talked to are not very happy. They don't feel like they're hitting that mission. Rain or shine or sleet, whatever it is, they're going to get the mail delivered, and they feel like knowingly leaving mail back at the office when it could be delivered doesn't sit well with them.
No, I'm sure it doesn't. And a lot of people who work for the Postal Service extremely dedicated, and they do take that neither rain nor sleet nor whatever, but very seriously. And they work hard. I don't think I could walk 100 miles a day delivering the mail. So you got to give them a lot of credit.
Absolutely. And it still amazes me that you can put less than $1 postage on an envelope in Michigan, and I could mail it to you in Washington, D.C. It'll get there in a couple of days for less than $1. Pretty amazing. Linda Kenya, thanks for joining us on the Mitch Albom Show today.
You're welcome.
All right. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to check in with traffic and weather and Rich Lazinski, and then we'll be back after that.
This report is sponsored by ExpressPros.com. Mark your calendars. Express Employment Professionals is once again hosting National Interview Day on August 6th. This special event supports hiring as businesses continue to reopen and business ramps back up. Apply online today. Visit ExpressPros.com/interview day to find a location near you. WJR Traffic First is also sponsored by Restore Wellness Center. Are you experiencing nagging body pain? Tired of taking medication for relief? Neck and back, arthritis, tendonitis, muscle soreness, and more. The Restore Wellness Center can help relieve or eliminate the pain completely and get you back to work. Reserve your appointment today. Call 800-935-5959 in Brighton, Shelby, and Bloomfield, or restorewellnesscenter.com. An accident blocks the left shoulder of the I-696 eastbound ramp to I-75 northbound. We also have an accident on I-75 southbound at Bristol Road, blocking your right lane. A wreck partially blocks the northbound Southfield Freeway ramp to the Lodge northbound. Traffic is backed up to 8 Mile as a result.
Ooh, and only number 6, and it seemed very safe and smooth to me as well.
Tickets and vacation packages at MackinawFerry.com. That's MackinawFerry.com. It is 71 degrees. I'm Rich Lazinski, WJR News. In about 30 seconds.
It'll be interesting to see when the results come in, how much they're delayed by the mail-in versus voting in person. St. Clair Shores, number 117. What time did you vote, Kathy? 117 at 8:05 is good. 117 at 5:08 is not so good.
This is WJR.
All right, Kev.
Hey, how you doing?
Next guest is ready to go.
Oh, good. I'm just chatting with our Facebook people. Dave, you want to stick in on this one? You want to pop in on the microphone on the
Yeah, I might pop in on the regular microphone
casino
for the with the casino guy. Yeah,
yeah, pop in. You probably have more interior knowledge of the casino world than I do.
So an interesting story that I saw in USA Today. It says here that millennials and Gen Xers say that the pandemic has derailed their financial independence.
Ooh.
What do you think about that?
I don't know. I know that my kid who is working at home hates it. He wants to be at the office. He's about 25. He wants to be with managers who can help him, who he thinks he can make more money being at work, getting guidance than at home, whereas roommates are playing video games.
There you go.
But I don't know if it's completely taking away their financial independence.
Yeah, it just says that a lot of people.
No, Jim, unfortunately, it's a Diet Coke. I went from Diet Root Beer yesterday to Diet Coke today, but all this diet product isn't exactly helping me lose any weight.
My brother stopped drinking Diet Pop.
Yeah, I don't drink a lot of it. I use it to more wake me up. I drink a lot of coffee, though. Ooh, I drink a lot of coffee.
Every once in a while, I'm not a huge coffee guy, but every once in a while I'll do coffee. But it's gotta have a lot of cream in it, and it's gotta have a lot of like either sugar or sweet and low or something.
That's what my daughter. It's like half of the glass is.
Yeah, exactly.
We run out of creamer like every other day. It's always that flavored stuff too. It's like French vanilla or caramel macchiato or something.
Yep.
I
like that.
drank my coffee black since the day I started in news, because you run around from cop shop to courthouse and someone offers you coffee. You don't want to be picky. You're just like, I'll take it black. And then you get used to it.
You've probably had a lot of bad coffee in your day at different places. Following stories.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
My mom used to drink, if you remember back in the day, Tab.
Oh, yes. And
that was her big thing.
And Fresca.
Tab. Now she drinks a lot of Diet Coke, but back in the day it was Tab.
Yeah, if I drink pop, any kind of pop or Diet Pop, I'll get my stomach will start to hurt after a couple of days. I don't drink too much.
Yeah. I don't know whatever happened to Tab, but it kind of went the way of a lot of things that used to be back in the day.
Yeah, my mom drank Tab and Fresca, and every once in a while I'll still see Fresca somewhere. Not very often, but I haven't seen Tab in a long time.
Yeah, like remember Burger Chef? Whatever happened to Burger Chef?
Are they in other states still, or are they
I don't know.
gone?
Remember Hardee's? Hardee's was good. They're gone. all these places that used to be. Remember Bill Knapp's? Bill Knapp's?
Oh yeah, I went for the cake. I went for the birthday cake for sure.
Yeah, I still think you can still get the birthday cake some places.
I don't know if you can.
I think you still get the Bill Knapp's cake someplace.
I get Bumpy cake now for my birthday every year because it reminds me of the Bill Knapp's cake.
You can get that at Kroger, the Saunders Bumpy cake.
Yeah,
I know my brother loves that too.
We have it at least once a year.
And there were Saunders restaurants back in the day too. I remember. My friend used to work at one.
They still have the syrup or the ice cream topping too.
Saunders or Sanders?
Saunders.
I'm pretty sure.
Saunders. I don't. After Charlotte and Charlotte, I'm not getting into it.
Exactly. Oh, there's a Hardee's in Owasso, really? Wow.
All right. Yeah, you do see every once in a while. You'll see.
Okay. There you go. That was good. Those some good restaurants back in the day.
Yeah.
Did Bill Knapp's used to give you a percentage on your birthday off the bill?
Yeah, if you're 89, you got 89% off. Whatever your age was, you get that off on the bill. I don't know. I guess if you're 100, you got to go. It's free.
I guess so.
Or you get money back at 101.
There you go. They pay you to come and eat there. Nice. All right, we're coming back here in a second. I'm going to put the station back in, and I'll.
And you're going to go on to the mic?
I'll be on the regular mic.
I had some exterior painting done, and they were on top of their game.
and daily progress reports, you can trust CertaPro painters to get the job done right and safely.
Interior or exterior, residential or commercial, CertaPro can take care of it all. Schedule your free estimate at CertaPro.com.
Each CertaPro painter's business is independently owned and operated. They're right here in our community.
That's Certa with a C. CertaPro painters, proven and trusted experts in painting.
Sitting in for Mitch, here's Kevin Dietz.
So a gambler was escorted out of a Las Vegas casino in handcuffs after he entered without wearing a mask. The man was taken out by 3 guards who were all wearing face coverings. He was reportedly in violation of Las Vegas's strict coronavirus rules, which mandate wearing a mask in public spaces. Only those with medical breathing issues or with certain disabilities are exempt under the rules, which came into force on June 26th. On Monday, Nevada reported 994 new COVID cases and 15 new deaths. The latest figures bring the state's total cases to 51,199 with a death toll of 847. The reason I bring it up is because Detroit is opening up its 3 casinos this week, and a lot of people are wondering if it's long overdue or a big mistake to open. To get some insights into what we might see, we're going to Las Vegas, the D in Las Vegas to be specific, which is been open now for some time after shutting down for COVID. And joining us on the line now is Chris Wilberding, executive casino host at the D Casino Hotel Las Vegas. Chris, thanks for being on the show.
Hey, Kevin, thanks for having me.
And also joining us is Dave Rieger, who loves to gamble and says he wants to gamble in Detroit, but he's not ready to go just yet. So, Dave, welcome to the segment.
Hey, how are you guys?
So, Chris, tell us what's going on out in Vegas. How long have you been open since being shut down for COVID, and has it gone smoothly or has it been rocky?
Well, we opened up midnight on June 3rd, the response that we got from all the patrons and guests coming hotel was very positive. There was a lot of people. We had really good numbers in terms of gaming. That first day, the first weekend. The rules are a little bit more lax than they are now, but we're just trying to get people down there, have a good time, and if they're comfortable, we're doing everything possible in Las Vegas to make sure they're safe as well while being at our property.
We're starting out with 15% capacity, and I don't know if they're going to build it up or not. Did you guys start with a small number and build up, or did you guys have a set number?
We had a 15% occupancy for the hotel.
Okay, and so how is that been working with social distancing and people trying to gamble?
Well, in terms of what we did, every casino, every resort had to, give their plan to gaming, and gaming had to approve their plan on what they wanted to do. Not every single plan was going to be the same. So, we did ours in terms of, separated each slot machine, 3 people to each blackjack table. We eliminated players touching cards as much as possible. So we're doing that, as well as we have temperature checks as they walk into the door, and everyone has to have a mask on.
Dave Rieger, why don't you jump in? What are some of the things you're concerned about? Tell Chris why you aren't ready to go back to a casino yet.
I'm just, I was just worried here in Detroit about just the being inside, and also just that they just wouldn't be able to social distance enough. How are you guys handling? You did mention the 3 to the blackjack table. How is craps being handled at the D?
So there's 6 people allowed at the craps stand. Our pit bosses, our dealers, our casino managers, as well as all the hosts and everyone, every single employee, security. We are making sure, especially at the craps table, because that's, when you're as close to other people, we make sure that 6 feet is enforced.
And what about roulette?
Roulette, we're allowed to have 3 people at the table. They try to separate the seats as well.
Okay. So is everyone handling chips, Chris? Are the chips moving back and forth?
Yeah, the chips are still moving back and forth. We are obviously been switching up the chips more often than not than we had before.
So how are patrons towards each other? Are they being nice to each other? Are they calling people out if they're not wearing face masks? What do you say? Are you serving food? We're going to serve food only in the restaurants, and you can take your mask off while you eat, but you can't have any food out on the floor. What are you doing in that regard?
Yeah, so currently our bars are actually, we don't have our bars, they're actually closed down. We have one bar open because that actually is allowed to serve food there. But you have to be seated. You're not allowed to walk up to the bar and order a drink. So that's how we're dealing with right now. That's actually something that Nevada came out with that we have to abide by.
Is that the long bar?
In terms of the long bar, yeah, there's no seats currently at the long bar, as well as a couple of outside bars.
So what have you guys done as far as from your management's position? What have they said to the employees about safety and trying not to spread COVID and not catch COVID?
Yeah, each director, they've been very forthcoming in terms of the correct procedures and how to handle it. Especially if a guest is not doesn't want to wear the mask or not, but we have security. They'll come talk to them. We've been just trying to be as polite as possible, but as well as knowing what's going on and everything and how it's a very touchy situation happening. So we are very well aware of the problems that are going on. So we just try our best.
Is the sports book open?
Our sports book is currently open. Yes, it is.
Okay. So you think Detroit will do all right? You guys didn't, obviously, the first week or so, you got to figure things out, but it didn't take too long to get up and running.
No. We figured it out really, really quick. As well as I'm sure all the other casinos. I can't really speak for them around town in Vegas, but we've seen it's been well in business wise for us, and we haven't had any complaints.
All right, that's awesome. Chris Wilberding from the D Casino Hotel Las Vegas. Thanks for checking in on the Mitch Albom Show.
Hey, thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Dave, did that convince you at all to go to the casino next week or when they open later this week?
I really want to go, but I'm not gonna go. Not quite yet.
It sounds fun. I want to go. I want to go watch a baseball game or a basketball game and sit there and watch. But I don't think I'll be going. I won't be the first one to the casino. But we'll see what happens when they open up here. We'll be keeping a close eye on it. Let's take a quick break on the Mitch Albom Show. Check in with traffic and weather with Rich Lazinski.
This report is sponsored by ExpressPros.com. Mark your calendars. Express Employment Professionals is once again hosting National Interview Day on August 6th. This special event supports hiring as businesses continue to reopen and business ramps back up. Apply online today. Visit ExpressPros.com/interview day to find a location near you. An accident blocks the left shoulder of the I-696 eastbound ramp to I-75 northbound. That accident on I-75 southbound at Bristol Road is cleared. A wreck partially blocks the northbound Southfield Freeway ramp to the Lodge northbound. Traffic is backed up to 8 Mile as a result, and we still have that wreck slowing you down on I-94 eastbound at I-69. Now WJR Weather first from the Weather Channel, sponsored by Shelving.com. Shelving.com carries durable brand wire and metal shelving, pallet racks, and space-saving products for your business or home. They also have mezzanines, wire partition, and in-plant offices for your warehouse. Maximize space. Visit Shelving.com and get 11% off. That's Shelving.com. They rack your world. Here's your forecast.
Hit and miss showers drifting on to the east, and temperatures in the 70s this afternoon. Does not really feel like an August forecast at all this week. 57 degrees our low tonight, and in the 70s for tomorrow and Thursday. 80s return late week. I'm meteorologist Scott Laurie, and more on News Talk 760 WJR.
Did you know that almost every car
All right. Hello. Just sending out some thank yous to our guests who showed up on time and were entertaining.
Everything's so good so far.
Everything's so good so far.
Yeah. Clay says his casino trip was canceled. It usually goes for 5 days. My trip to Vegas in March was canceled for the NCAA tournament because of the pandemic. That was horrible.
Clay, you're drinking what? 4 to 6 liters of Dr. Pepper a day. You don't need to worry about the coronavirus. You need to worry about your stomach lining.
The Michigan Moose Association convention at is that the Kewadin Casino usually was
Kewadin
canceled.
Charlotte, Kewadin.
I'm surprised. I'm just very sorry to hear that.
For the Mitch Albom show.
Yeah, I know that. Big groups are just tough. I mean, they're saying you show up in a bus to go to the casino, and they're going to test everybody. And if one person has a temperature, they're sending all of you back.
I mean, CES, the biggest show in the world, is going to be all virtual this year. Cause coming in January, they've already announced that. So,
yeah,
that's a bummer too. Vegas has got to be taking a bath. With all the conventions that they do.
Yeah, I'm sure that's got to be tough. There's so many places to go there.
I know. It's a bummer. Absolute bummer. Even the golf trip, I have a group of people that like to go on, and they canceled that. They were afraid because everybody wanted their own room, and we usually share a condo. Everybody wanted their own golf cart to ride in if they didn't have the plastic sheet in the middle.
Yeah.
So that got canceled also. Even though I would say golf is one of the more social distance sports you can play. So
which sport?
Golf.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
But I don't know. It's all very interesting. I just don't know. But as far as the casinos go, man, I don't know. I really would. Hearing him talk about the D, it's a lot of fun to go there.
Yeah, it made you want to go, huh?
Yeah, for sure.
I get it.
Tennis is good. Yeah, I know people are still playing tennis, and then this pickleball that I hear people talking about, which I've never tried, but I guess is very popular.
It's for people my age.
Pickleball.
I haven't played it, but my friends do, and they love it.
All right, we're coming back here. Your guest is there.
Experience and actively invites them to apply, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free.
We were very impressed with how quickly we had quality candidates apply through ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter is a powerful tool in our hiring process.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And now you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. At ZipRecruiter.com/search. That's ZipRecruiter.com/search. ZipRecruiter.com/search.
Sitting in for Mitch, here's Kevin Dietz.
So Ford Motor Company announced today that CEO Jim Hackett will retire from the company. He started there in May of 2017. New at the top spot is Jim Farley, who was the chief operating officer. Hackett's 65 years old. You may remember before coming to Ford, he was a CEO at Steelcase, and he also was the University of Michigan's interim athletic director. He's the guy who hired Jim Harbaugh. What does it all mean? Let's check in with Paul Eisenstein, publisher and editor-in-chief of the DetroitBureau.com. Paul, thanks for being on the Mitch Albom Show.
Good to be with you again.
Yeah, it's nice to talk to you. So did this catch you by surprise? I guess we kind of knew Jim Hackett would be retiring at some point, but did it, the fact that it happened today surprise you?
Yeah, actually it did. I think this is one of those rare stories of this importance that didn't even leak out at all. We all knew he was going to step down and wouldn't have been surprised if it happened within the next 6 to 12 months, but the exact timing was something that I think caught everybody by surprise.
So what does it mean for Ford? What was Jim Hackett's hits and what were his misses?
You know, it's an interesting question because I think Hackett's hits will be judged over time. If anything, a lot of people were feeling like he wasn't moving fast enough or he wasn't quite clear enough in all the things that he was trying to do. But there's some of the projects are starting to come a little bit more into focus. You know, things like their electrification program, their focus on commercial vehicles, their focus on connectivity and the like. But I think it's going to be really under Jim Farley's watch that we're going to get a measure of what Jim Hackett put in motion.
So Ford did have a couple of launches. How did they go under Hackett?
Yeah, now this is a very important year. Hackett will be leaving at a time when four of the most important products Ford has had in quite some time will be coming out. You have the Bronco and the Bronco Sport. You have the new F-150, and you also have, of course, the Mustang Mach-E. And that one, in many ways, though it's not going to be anywhere near the volume or the profits of the F-150, will be extremely important. Ford, like everyone else, is going very, very heavily into electrification. So that's going to be important. Their first long-range electric vehicle and carrying the Mustang name. Also because of all the connectivity on board. This is a very high-tech vehicle that, among other things, will be the first Ford has to allow them to do smartphone-like, or if you prefer, Tesla-like, over-the-air updates of pretty much every piece of software on the vehicle.
You know, Hackett's a really likable guy. It seems like everyone you talk to really likes him. What was he well liked inside the Oval?
I think he was very well respected inside the Oval. I will tell you the same thing that I've heard time and time again, is that a lot of people were not quite clear about where he was taking the company. I think that was probably the biggest weakness that he had. And one of the things that Jim Farley was most important for Hackett, because he was able to take Hackett's, if you will, ivory tower brainstorming and really both put it into motion, but equally important, get people on the floor of Glass House and the engineering centers to understand what that meant in practical terms.
Farley's 58 years old. Do you think him rising to the top here indicates Ford is going to stay the course they've been on, or they're going to look for big changes?
Well, Farley made a very big point of saying he does not expect to see any major management changes. Bill Ford echoed that as well. I asked Farley during a Q&A session we had with him whether he expects to change the course. And even when you have close proteges taking over a spot like a CEO position, it's typical for them to shift focus a little bit here and there, if not make major changes. And I think if I can summarize what he said, I think you're going to see even more emphasis on some of the things like connectivity, high-tech sort of things that Ford will be doing going forward.
Does the leadership, the people at the top, does that trickle down to the line workers, or does it not really make much of a difference in their day-to-day jobs?
Well, it will make a lot of difference for them in the long term, because we've already seen so much change in terms of what Ford is doing. They've gotten rid of all of their passenger cars, but for the Mustang. They've invested extremely heavily in pickups and SUVs. They're investing heavily in electrification. So we have the Mach-E, which will be followed by a whole range of hybrids, plug-ins, and pure battery electric vehicles. And then there will, of course, be the focus on autonomous technology. There'll be the focus on connectivity and data services and the like. So Ford, if what Hackett put into place and what Farley has implemented continues, it's going to be a very different company. That was summed up by something Farley said. When he was asked about who he sees as his competition, he focused not just on General Motors, Toyota, or the like, but he also included companies like Apple and Amazon.
So would you say Ford is ahead of the game, about even, or behind when it comes to electrification and autonomous vehicles?
Well, it's a little difficult to say right now because of the way the market is shaping up and the way things are shaking out. General Motors has something like 20 plus all-electric vehicles that they're going to have in the market by 2023. Ford won't be nearly that far along, but they're doing a lot of interesting things. I think Ford is one of the more advanced companies when it comes to autonomy, but where that goes is still unclear because we don't know exactly when true autonomous vehicles, cars that can let you just put your hands to your side and not even have to pay attention to what's on the road, or going the next step, driverless vehicles, we don't know exactly when they'll come to market. We do know that Ford has what's called level 2 technology. It's similar to what GM's Super Cruise is. That'll be coming out in a matter of months, and it'll let you keep your eyes on the road but take your hands off the wheel for extended periods on well-marked highways. So I think it's going to be another year or two before we really get a good sense of who are the true leaders in electrification and autonomy.
Do you think COVID-19 played a role in the timing of Jim Hackett stepping down?
It may have, and I think it certainly did show to the board at Ford that Farley has the chops when it comes to basic business management. Hackett pointed this out. He said that Farley was very, very aggressive as the chief operating officer in stepping in, taking a lot of difficult and very aggressive moves to try to make sure that Ford didn't lose its shirt. This was an awful period. Car makers had to shut down for 2 months. Sales were way down. Fixed costs are very, very difficult to cut. And yet Farley was able to, bring the company in from his level at about $3 billion less in losses than Wall Street was anticipating. It shocked Wall Street how well Ford did. They were in the red, sure, but everybody was.
Well, it's going to be so important for all companies as they try and come back from COVID, and the ones who do it better will be more successful. Do you feel this was the right guy at the right time in Jim Farley?
I think Farley is a very, very good man to be putting in this position. He's extraordinarily focused. He can be difficult to work with. He drops what many people call F or Farley bombs when he's angry, and he's very demanding. But I also think he has a very clear vision. And what's very important about Jim, one of the biggest differences, I think, between him and Hackett is he seems to be able to get his ideas across to the rank and file, whether factory workers, engineers, marketing, or other management positions. They have a better idea, I think, when he talks of exactly what he's expecting, as opposed to Hackett, who was more of the think tank type of guy.
All right. Well, let's hope those F-bombs lead to profit-sharing checks for the workers sooner rather than later. Paul Eisenstein, chief editor of the DetroitBureau.com. Thanks for being on the Mitch Albom Show.
My pleasure to be with you.
All right. Great talking to you again. We're going to take a short break, check in with traffic and weather with Rich Luzinski.
This report is sponsored by California Closets. Now through August 31st, save up to 20% on any California closet system in one of their beautiful light-colored finishes. Call 248-624-1234 today to arrange your complimentary design consultation or visit them online at californiaclosets.com.
That accident on the I-696 eastbound ramp to I-75 northbound is cleared, and a wreck partially blocks the northbound Southfield Freeway ramp to the Lodge northbound. Traffic can detour exiting at 8 Mile eastbound and then back to the Lodge. Now, WJR Weather first from the Weather Channel, sponsored by Operating Engineers 324. Operating Engineers 324 run the heavy equipment that's building Michigan's roads. Remember to slow down and pay attention in work zones for the workers' safety and yours. OE324, we build, we operate, we maintain. Visit OE324.org. Cloudy at 69 degrees. I'm Rich Luzinski, WJR News, in about a minute or so.
It's Ken and Chuck, the inside-outside guys. Here.
All right. I have no new comments. The comments have stopped. The Moose Convention is our final comment from Clark. Correct. All right, Facebook Live. Got to get your act together.
It's getting late in the day.
It is getting late in the day. People hung in there well. 6 o'clock. Ding, ding, ding. He's really good, Eisenstein.
He is very good.
Really, really good. I really enjoy talking to him. He's
Yeah.
so knowledgeable, and he just speaks, in a way that even if you're not a car guy, it's easy to understand.
He also he'll come on whenever we ask too, which is really cool.
That's awesome. That's awesome. You'll have to send me his number too.
I could definitely do that for you. He's definitely one to have in your Rolodex.
Yeah, he's good guy. Good guy.
And Rolodex, yeah. Who uses a Rolodex?
Rolodex. I gotta get my Rolodex. My Rolodex would be really, really big, be very large.
Yeah, remember the days of the Rolodex with the turn, and they had all
I
the
do, and then
I think
I was too lazy to write them down, so you'd staple business cards into the out of the paper, and you just have all these millions of business cards stapled to your Rolodex.
for sure. I think there's still one in the sports department here when WJR used to have a sports department where Steve Courtney's desk is.
Oh yeah.
I think there's still a Rolodex. Sometimes it's fun to go look at some of the names in that thing with the numbers.
I know. I have a box. I just never throw a card away, and so I have probably I probably got 15, 20,000 business cards from people that are all in this huge box. Every once in a while, I'll just pull one out and try and remember, some story about them. It's funny.
WJR.
There you go.
Hi, Peter.
Oh, time to cook dinner. Clay, we lost you to steak marinated in Dr. Pepper. That's funny. Any way to get a little more Dr. Pepper in?
Batea. Okay, hold on.
We're going to have to start getting some sponsor money from Dr. Pepper. I'll take this I voted sticker off and put on a little Dr. Pepper oval.
All right, so your next guest is ready to go. His last name's pronounced Batea.
Batea, thank you.
Peter Batea. Yeah. Nowadays, we keep our Rolodex in our smartphone. Did you mean our smartphone there, Clay? Yeah, of course. That's correct. It's amazing. Phones have come a long way. Obviously in February of 2007, when the first iPhone came out, that was the game breaker.
Yeah, it took me a little while to switch over.
What did you used to have before the iPhone? Were you a Palm Pilot guy? Were you a Trail? Were you a BlackBerry guy?
I had a phone that flipped up on the side and then had the full typewriter board there, and you'd have to hit each letter like 3 times. One key would be A, B, and C or whatever.
Right.
And man, I could move on that thing. I could really move on that thing, and that's why it took me so long to get rid of it. I just didn't want to.
Like, I remember when Blackberries went away and people were like, "Oh my God, Blackberries are gone." They were like the staple. And then there was
My sister still has a BlackBerry.
Really?
Yeah, she wouldn't give it up.
Oh my! I remember they had the Treo.
That Palm Pilot. I remember that. I think I had a Palm Pilot.
Palm Pilot. Yeah, they were big, but
they had the little writing.
The iPhone just was like a total game changer. Very intuitive, and it just changed everything.
Clay, I still have my same phone number from when I had my Nextel. I held on to my Nextel forever. It had the little walkie-talkie.
Yes.
And my number, when I got it, the Detroit police all got their Nextels, and my number was very close to a lot of their numbers. So when I'd call people would pick it up thinking it was another police officer.
My brother, Jeff, used to work at West Bloomfield Park and Rec, and he had a Nextel, and I had a Nextel. And inevitably, I would be in a meeting at work, and all of a sudden, it would go, dee, 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 and my brother would start yelling obscenities. Always. He would do it constantly.
That's funny.
Because you'd hear him riding that kind of tractor or something, or cutting the lawn. Yeah, it was ridiculous. But there was they had a phone called the Razor. It was a really thin flip phone.
Yeah, the chocolate. Remember that?
There's a few people around here that still do flip phones. Mitch does a flip phone, I think. Kevin O'Neill still does a flip phone.
Yeah, Kevin O'Neill.
I think some people still do the flip phone, which I can't. Which is just unbelievable.
That's funny.
I mean, yeah, the iPhone or the Droid, if you prefer, are just incredible.
Yeah, I got to get a new one. I think I'm on 8, and my kids are on like 11.
Oh, so you have an iPhone 8?
Yeah, I still have the button. I don't want to slide up. I can't answer their phones. I can't do anything on their phone.
You don't like it without the button?
I like the button.
You get used to it.
Yeah.
Coming back.
It's concrete coating.
So why doesn't everyone call Rhino Shield for a maintenance-free exterior? Those who haven't are probably wondering the same thing.
They should probably call right away for a free quote and no contact consultation. What's the number?
248-814-7600.
That's 248-814-7600 or online at rhinoshieldmi.com.
Catch the Paul W. Smith Show this Thursday as he highlights the world's greatest women golfers from the Marathon Classic, presented by Dana. Dana, people finding a better way. Listen to WJR all weekend for live tournament updates or visit marathonclassic.com for more information.
Sitting in for Mitch, here's Kevin Dietz.
So you're listening to a story on the radio, and the announcer says that that story was published in the Detroit Free Press. So you go online to check it out. But starting August 12th, you may find you won't be able to read it unless you pay for it. The newspaper's online content has always been free, but now about 5 stories a day, usually the ones that are exclusive to the Free Press, will require a modest subscription. Will it bring in profits and better reporting, or will readers turn away looking for free content somewhere else? Here to answer those tough questions is Peter Batea, editor of the Detroit Free Press. Peter, thanks for being on the show.
My pleasure. How you doing?
I'm doing great. This has got to be a very interesting and exciting time at the Free Press. People have been talking about this for a long time. We've seen pay models at other organizations. What is going on inside the Free Press as this decision is being made?
Well, it's something we've been talking about for some time. As you note, the paywall model has been in place in American newspapers for a long, long time. I think the Wall Street Journal was the first almost 25 years ago. So, and the New York Times has something like 6 million digital subscribers. So it's a logical progression for us. It's a way to guarantee the outstanding reporting that our staff does into the future. It's a way to bring money in to sustain our journalism. And as you use the word modest, which is the word I've used, it won't be really expensive, but the time has come for us.
Is this going to be one of those tricks where it's $3 for 3 months and then all of a sudden it just keeps sneaking up on me like my cable bill?
Yeah, not as bad as the cable bill, but because it's not nearly as much money. But I subscribe to 7, I think, maybe 8 now. Have digital subscriptions to papers around the country, and yeah, they lure you in with the cheap offer, and then it goes up. But we'll be open about that from the get go.
Yeah, look, there's no question some of the best reporting in town comes from the Free Press. You pick up the paper or you go online and you see some really in-depth, incredible investigative reporting at the Free Press. And there's no question to me that it's worth paying for. But the problem is, how do you get people to do it? Will they say, you know what, these people deserve a few dollars so that I can read this important story? And is there a lot of saturation if you get too many? If you have Cranes, the Detroit News, other local papers, will people pay for all of them? You said you have 7. I don't know that everyone will pay for 7.
No, I don't think so. I mean, I'm kind of a crazy news junkie and read papers from around the country and places I lived, in some cases just to follow pro sports teams that I care about. But, I think that good content will bring people to us, as it always has. I mean, we have a massive audience. During the first few months of the coronavirus, we had over 100 million page views a month in March, April, and May. And sure, we'll probably see some drop off in that a little bit. But in general, we've gotten a lot of support for this idea. A lot of readers have said to us, well, of course we should pay, and we will. So I'm optimistic about it. If somebody wants to know who won the game last night, or what the governor said today about COVID restrictions and stuff like that, the vast majority of our content will still be free. And it's the enterprise, the unique stuff that generally will be behind the wall.
Yeah, so that's kind of interesting too. It's not all or nothing here. So you do have a massive online presence. You're either at the top or near the top all the time when it comes to the number of people who are checking news sites in the state of Michigan. By keeping part of it free, do you hope to keep everybody coming back and being able to sell advertising in that way, and then get the people who will pay to sort of boost things up? And do you think this is a real solution to profitability, or is this just an opportunity to help to pay for the kinds of stories that you guys have been doing?
You know, it's all the above. The Free Press has actually been profitable the last several years. You know, Detroit's a strong journalism market, and people have supported us. We still have a substantial print circulation. Obviously not what it used to be, nor is the print advertising what it used to be. So what we're seeing in our industry, at least, is a shift to more of the revenue coming from readers as compared to from advertisers. For sure, the big audience still brings in a lot of revenue, a lot of advertising. So it's kind of a dual strategy in that sense. It gives us another way to sustain journalism, and that's, you know, we're asking people to support local journalism. And of course, as the editor, that's what matters to me most.
And how is it going over in the newsroom? So I've been in a newsroom for a long time. Are some of the reporters who work in the investigative unit, say, who know their stories are going to be pay only, are they a little concerned that they're not going to get the eyeballs that they normally get for what is difficult and important work?
Well, I think, you know, there are ways to feature those sorts of things in front of and behind the wall. You know, maybe you put the substantial investigation behind the wall, but you put sort of a summary of it in front of the wall, hopefully motivating people to pay and to go read the whole investigation. But it does change the dynamic in a newsroom a little bit. I mean, you know, we like to know that people are reading our work as journalists. So it introduces a new metric, if you will. It's like, oh, wow, that story drove X number of subscriptions, and that's pretty good. So, you know, reporters will be watching that, but I think most everybody is up for anything that brings in more revenue and sustains what we do.
So who's going to make the decision on which stories have to be paid for, which ones are going to be free, and what are some of the things that are going to go into that decision? I know, like Cranes, for instance, they will let anything COVID related be free.
Yeah. I mean, I think, you know, a lot of it, certainly public service work, like all the, you know, the hundreds of stories we've written about COVID in Michigan, those would be free because that's public service. That's information the public needs. But, you know, an investigation, a great column by Mitch, you know, something like that could end up behind the wall. And that's okay. Well, you know, it'll be a lot of trial and error. There's a lot of experience that we can tap into from other papers around the country and what's worked and what hasn't worked. But this is Detroit, and, you know, auto store industry stories. We're crazy about our sports teams, those sorts of things, Michigan football, Michigan State basketball, what have you. There'll be some opportunities there.
I checked out your Facebook page for reaction. It's a little bit mixed. Some people are not that happy about it. Some people think it's well worth the money. One idea someone had was to charge the trolls a fee to be able to say all the mean stuff that people say online after a story is printed. Maybe that would work.
I think I'd support that.
If it would keep some of them off, I would as well. Peter Batea, thank you so much for joining us, editor of Detroit Free Press. Good luck with the rolling out of the subscription format.
Sure. Thanks a lot for having me. I appreciate it.
You bet. We'll take a quick break and be back with more of the Mitch Albom Show after we check in with traffic and weather with Rich Luzinski.
We have an accident on M59 eastbound between Adams and Crooks Road that's causing stop-and-go traffic, so be careful if you're heading in that area. That accident on the I-696 eastbound ramp to I-75 northbound is cleared, and a wreck partially blocks the northbound Southfield Freeway ramp to the Lodge. Northbound traffic can detour, exiting an 8-mile eastbound, and then back to the Lodge. Now, WJR Weather first from the Weather Channel. Here's your forecast.
A couple of sprinkles on weather radar drifting to the east and some light showers down in Ohio. Also, 71 degrees this afternoon, 57 our cool low tonight, and highs in the 70s tomorrow, Thursday, 80s return Friday, Saturday. I'm meteorologist Scott Laurie, more on News Talk 760 WJR.
Hi, I'm Dr. Robert Livernoy, Superintendent of Warren Consolidated Schools. While it may be difficult to find some positivity in our world right now, in our district there is plenty, starting with our teachers staying connected with children during the...
Hey.
So do you still get like the physical papers in the morning?
I like to. I don't get them delivered. I pick them up when I'm out and about though. They're always floating around work, so I don't get the subscription at home anymore. But I do. You have to pay for cranes, and you have to. So that's what I kind of wonder, how many will people pay for? So like, literally, you could listen to WJR in the morning, and they will read the investigative piece that's in the Free Press or the news. Is that enough for somebody, or will they want to go buy it? And even more so than the radio is TV. TV will, they're, often they get in the morning and they look at what's in the paper, and then they decide what to go cover. So if they go follow up on a story that the Free Press is charging you for, and then letting you watch it on the news for free, will people do that?
So here's a question for you. Are you a USA Today kind of guy or a Wall Street Journal kind of guy? And I mean that by the length of the story.
Yeah. So, I'm a Wall Street Journal kind of guy. I like long, in depth. I like 7-8 pages. I like graphs. I really like the in-depth stuff. I know what goes into them. In TV, I did the investigative unit, and they were long format, and so I really like that. Now, on the other stuff, I'm like flipping for headlines, so I get caught and then I'm like, well, is that clickbait? Am I really going to get what I want or not? But I look at so many articles, or I should say so many headlines, and I read an awful lot of articles, but I don't know if I want to pay for 7, like he said, 7 different subscriptions so that I can look at everything. Like on the New York Times, you get a limited number per month.
Right.
But then you can go find them elsewhere. Someone else, has the information, or someone else will, the New York Post will write, this is what was in the New York Times today. They did that with an article today about debates, doing away with the debates. The New York Times wrote the story, and then the New York Post commented on it, and you could get all the basic information for free from the New York Post, or you could have a subscription to the New York Times and read all of it. It's interesting. I love it all. Just sit around on Saturday and Sunday and read papers for hours. That's a really good Sunday for me. But I don't know. We'll have to see. I mean, $3 for 3 months is no big deal, but when they start to get up to $10 a month or $20 or $100 a year, and they want you to buy 10 different newspapers. The Detroit News is charging too. So that's I assume that's separate, right? That's not going to be the same.
Heat 248-852-HEAT, or go to DetroitHVACinc.com. Detroit HVAC Inc., the environmental comfort experts.
Sitting in for Mitch, here's Kevin Dietz.
If you have a teenager or college-age kids, you probably already know this. COVID is up for young people, and it seems like the reason is they're willing to put their health at risk for their right to party. The 4th of July was a free-for-all for young people, and then grad parties rolled around. Parties that were previously postponed were now happening, and kids were coming and rarely wearing masks or social distancing. Many of the kids are just not afraid of COVID. The question is, what happens when they get it and they spread it to those who are vulnerable? Joining us now live is Oakland County Communications Director Bill Mullen. Bill, welcome to the Mitch Albom Show.
Thanks so much, Kevin. Glad to join your show this afternoon.
Yeah, I'm really glad you were willing to call in and check in. What can you tell us about what you're seeing in Oakland County as it pertains to teens?
Well, as it pertains to high school age students, we're seeing that the first part of July, we had very few positive COVID cases with kids that age. but in the second half of July, it went up dramatically, not only in the South Line area, but in the Fenton area as well. And as we looked in deeper into these cases, we discovered that a lot of these kids had attended either graduation parties, or you had parents who hosted prom-like parties for the teens. And, you said something a moment ago that caught my attention. We're also discovering at these parties there were no masks, there was no social distancing, and as a result, we're seeing a big uptick in COVID cases among teens.
So, what do you think is happening out there? What are our parents saying? All right, we're going to let you go, but we're not going to let you visit grandma and grandpa after, or you're going to go, and we feel like it's relatively certain that if you catch COVID, it's going to be like the flu or less. Is it the parents, or is it the kids sneaking out and not social distancing?
No, the parents definitely have a role to play here, and they need to help their kids make responsible decisions, including how large of a group they hang out with, and when they're hanging out, making sure they take their mask and social distancing. In this instance, I think it's very likely that, there are no ill intentions, but certainly a lot of these parents are, letting their kids go. In most of these cases, the kids didn't have symptoms, or they had mild symptoms. So, they're not thinking of COVID when they don't see any symptoms or mild symptoms. And the reality is, kids of the teenage years can be a prime vector for transmitting illness, especially COVID, we're finding.
Is this just an Oakland County thing, or are you seeing this all over Metro Detroit, all over the country?
So we're working with two other health departments, Genesee County and Livingston County, on the current investigations. A lot of these cases live in the three counties, so it's impacted either region, and they've seen similar spikes in numbers among kids who are 15 to 19 years old.
So we've listened to the governor talk about schools reopening, and it's kind of been like, we're leaning towards reopening, or we are reopening, but we're watching these numbers every day. We're looking at the science. We're seeing what the trend is, and this is not a good trend when you think about the idea of opening schools. Is this? Do you think this could have an impact on it?
Absolutely. If we can't get our arms around what's going on with our teens and the spread of COVID, we will definitely see an impact on the start of schools. Now, will that just mean everyone is starting virtually, or will it mean they close down schools altogether? That'll be a combination of the various school administrations, as well as the local governments and state governments deciding what's best in their region. But yeah, absolutely. If we don't get our arms around this quickly, it is definitely going to have some impact on the start of the school year.
So what does the county do to wake up parents and wake up kids? I know, as the numbers go down, your human instinct is just to, get a little more lax. But then all of a sudden there's a spike, and you're like, oh, wait, we really do need to have our masks with us. What can you do from an education standpoint to reach people and actually change their minds about how they feel about COVID and the threat?
Well, certainly what's going on in South Line and Fenton is a wake-up call to parents. And even parents where they haven't experienced spikes like this yet need to be aware and be cautious of what their kids are doing. But, really one of the important messages is, as our case investigations have continued, there hasn't been the most cooperation in terms of providing information back to our case investigators that will enable us to identify other people who are exposed and get them the appropriate resources they need to prevent further spread of the illness. And, it's important for them to know that if the health department contacts you, you're not in trouble. Your information that you share is going to be confidential. We can't share it with anyone else. And, the more you are able to share with our investigators, the more we can respond effectively to the spike in COVID cases and get it contained.
What do you say when you hear people say that they want to catch COVID and get it over with so they don't have to deal with it anymore?
So, this goes to the herd immunity question. And I'm not an expert in that, but I was having a discussion with one of our epidemiologists the other day about this. And herd immunity works in illnesses that have been around for a while, whether, it's measles or, seasonal flu. You build herd immunity, the long-term effects. There are vaccines for this that help build the herd immunity. But we just don't know enough about COVID-19 to know about the long-term effects of having the disease, whether herd immunity can really be a serious factor here. And again, in the absence of a vaccine, the best thing to do is to wear a mask, social distance, and be selective about where you're going. And another thing we're finding is people are going out if they have mild symptoms. If you have any symptoms of anything, stay home.
So you could be asymptomatic from COVID, but you could have some long-term impact that's going on inside your body that we don't even know about yet.
That's correct. A lot of these kids were asymptomatic that attended these parties. And really, what they have to worry about is not so much whether they're getting illness, but when they go home, do they have a parent who maybe has a secondary condition like diabetes or high blood pressure, which puts them at higher risk for severe illness if they were to catch COVID? Or maybe if you visit your grandparents and unknowingly transmit it to them, and just by the mere factor of their age, they can face serious disease or even death. And so, you really got to, when you go out, treat it like you could be carrying COVID without symptoms, or anyone you encounter could be carrying COVID without symptoms.
So say there's a graduation party this weekend and there's going to be 50 people there. I'm not sure exactly what the state number is that what the mandate is, but say it's going to be within that. It's going to be a smaller group. If you're feeling feverish or anything, you definitely don't go. But if you're feeling okay, do you feel like you can go to a important to you family graduation party with the mask, with the social distancing, and stay healthy?
So that's the key, isn't it? Is making sure you exercise social distancing and use the mask. If you're going to be getting together with a large group, pay attention to whether it's indoors or outdoors. If it's indoors, you really need to limit it to 10 or fewer. But if it's outdoors, it's 100 or fewer. But just use common sense. You take precautions and you treat it like you could be spreading COVID to your loved ones if you don't take these precautions.
Well, if you think getting teenagers to follow the rules is tough, wait till you see what happens with college kids. After the break, we're going to talk about Michigan State sending a letter home to parents saying if you can keep your kids home, keep them home in the fall. Bill Mullen, thanks for joining us on the Mitch Albom Show. We appreciate the numbers and the warning, and hopefully people will heed them.
My pleasure, Kevin. Thanks for getting the word out.
All right. Talk to you soon. Let's check in with weather and traffic and Rich Lazinski.
This report is sponsored by the podcast Forgotten, Women of Juarez. The new podcast, Forgotten, Women of Juarez, investigates a series of murders that have haunted the U.S.-Mexico border for almost 30 years. To find out more, listen to Forgotten, Women of Juarez, wherever you get your podcasts.
We have an accident on M59 eastbound between Adams and Crooks Road that's causing stop-and-go traffic from Squirrel Road, and a wreck partially blocks the northbound Southfield Freeway ramp to the Lodge. Northbound traffic can detour, exiting at 8 Mile eastbound and then back to the Lodge. Now, WJR Weather first from the Weather Channel, sponsored by the Generous Pour event at the Capitol Grill. Wine lovers announcing this year's Generous Pour event at the Capitol Grill. For just $28 with dinner, you'll enjoy 7 remarkable varietals from wine enthusiast winemaker of the year, Dave Finney. Enjoy at the Capitol Grill or in your own home. Call 248-649-5300 or visit thecapitolgrill.com. Isolated thunderstorms at 68 degrees. I'm Rich Luzinski, WJR News in about a minute.
Hello, hello.
Good job with that interview.
Thank you. How did we got to see how Clay's steaks turned out? He left us for a bit to go cooking.
Did he?
Emily, thanks for the good conversation with Peter. I still had trouble saying his name. It's Batea, right?
Yeah, it's Batea.
I think I did Batea, but it's Batea. I even wrote it so I would say Batea, but
it's fine.
I can't help it.
Not a problem.
I'm sure it happens regularly to him. I don't. Do you get mad when people mispronounce your name? It doesn't bother me at all.
I get pronounced Riger constantly.
Yeah, I get Dietz.
So because my last name looks like Riger. So
thank you, Jerry. That's nice of you.
So not a big deal.
Perfect.
Not a problem.
Let me throw you on hold. We're in our news
All right,
right
looks
now.
like our next guest is going to be on the line.
Oh, good.
So we're good there. Somebody earlier in the Facebook stream had said that the new iPhone is coming out in September.
Like number 12?
That would be number 12. Yep.
Wow. I'm just trying to get to 9. 10. I guess you got to get to 10 to get to I don't even know if there's a 9. You have to get to 10 to get to the touch.
They went to 10. They went to they called it the X, and then now it's the 11.
Clay, cabbage steak with 2 brats. I know what 2 brats are. I don't know. I know what cabbage steak is.
So this brings up an interesting question about cooking a steak. So most people like their steak either rare or medium. I prefer medium well.
I thought everyone likes it either medium rare or medium well, like not cooked or overcooked. In my opinion,
and I've been to restaurants, say like in Vegas, where the chef will come out if you tell them medium well, and he'll read you the riot act. You can't cook a steak medium well.
The taste. There's a medium well. And then can you bring me some A1 sauce and some ketchup? I order my steak medium rare. I don't put anything on it. Nothing. I just eat it as it's brought to me, and I love it. And almost never do I send it back for being too undercooked.
I deal with the medium rare. No. And then, but I had a really good steak at Capitol Grill once, and they butterflied it, and they said that's how you can cook it medium well, and it still keeps the flavor. So,
a good chef can make a steak taste perfect at medium well. Yes, that's the problem at my house of sharing a meal. Is how are we going to have it cooked? And then we just sort of look at each other and see who's going to give in. Is it going to be medium or medium rare? If it's medium rare, I'm gonna get the bigger piece of it. If it's medium, I'm gonna be eating the potatoes and carrots and dessert.
So you're not going near a medium well steak then?
I would because I love steak, but I would not. It would not be my preference.
Okay. See, you got to cook the stuff.
I'll eat a Denny steak, a thin steak fried in a pan. I really like steak. I'll if it's a birthday dinner, I'll go to the nicest place. And if it's not, it doesn't matter to me. I like steak tips thrown on top of a salad, all that stuff. Cabbage steak is just sliced cabbage. Well, Clay, no wonder you put Dr. Pepper on it. That sounds awful.
What about hamburger?
Sliced cabbage is not steak. That's not what we were talking about.
What a hamburger? How are you cooking that?
Medium rare, same way.
Really?
Same argument at our house. Most of the kids like it medium rare.
Really? No, can't.
You cut into it. It's got to have some red juice on the plate.
Oh man, you got to cook it more. No. Gotta cook it more. Clay says he likes his meat saying ouch when he pokes at it. Okay.
Yes. Or moo.
There you go. Probably gonna be coming back in a little bit here. Your guest is on the line, so we're good there. Suzanne says medium rare too.
Yes.
I knew this argument.
Smart.
I usually do. Yeah.
Smart.
Now, are you like a fillet guy, or are you like a anything T-bone?
Bigger the better. Yeah, T-bone's great. I like a bone in there.
Okay.
Fillet's not enough. It's not big enough.
Got it. All right.
Mo meat.
All right, coming back.
All right.
freesummer.org.
Michigan Economic Development Corporation is committed to helping businesses in our state during the COVID-19 pandemic and beyond. If you own a business, MEDC has dedicated programs and resources available to you now. These include small business support, access to capital, entrepreneur resources, and buyer and supplier matchmaking. Find support today at michiganbusiness.org/pure-partnership. That's michiganbusiness.org/pure-partnership.
Sitting in for Mitch, here's Kevin Dietz.
Less than 1 month before classes are set to begin at Michigan State University, President Samuel Stanley is encouraging students to stay home for the fall semester if they can, as COVID-19 cases continue to spread. Quote, if you can live safely and study successfully at home, we encourage you to consider that option for fall semester. The vast majority of first-year students this fall will have course schedules that are completely online. Living away from campus may be the best choice for you and your family, particularly if you have family members at a higher health risk. Well, how is this hitting families who are eagerly excited to send their kids off to college to go to Michigan State University? Joining us on the line now is Brian Wall, a local dad whose son Ben just graduated from high school from Brother Ice and is off to Michigan State, or is he? Brian, welcome to the Mitch Albom Show.
Thank you very much, Kevin.
So how does this strike you? Does this, at first blush, does this say, oh, this is great, I can get a refund on the dorm, save some money, get my kid his first semester a little cheaper? Or does this strike you as, this is really a bummer, I really wanted my kid to be able to go away and do this?
I would say at first blush, it's more of not necessarily saving any money. That would be nice, but I think it's just the universities, I think, have to be very cautious in this environment and not be out there saying, we fully expect your son or daughter to be here at Michigan State on day one. So we've had a lot of discussions with Ben over the last month or so, and obviously things change almost daily as the emails we get from Michigan State seem to come probably 2 to 3 a week now about some of the things that are changing. So Ben continues to look very forward to, going up to East Lansing and starting his freshman year.
So a lot of universities, Michigan State included, they've put together these extensive plans of how they're going to keep people safe. What have you been seeing in the mail or emails, and how confident are you that your son would be safe if he does in fact go to school in the fall?
Right. Well, you're exactly right. We've been getting lots of emails and updates about what the university is doing to prepare parents and students to get ready for college in 2020. From everything we've seen, they're doing everything they can, from encouraging social distancing, wearing masks, preparing classrooms, preparing the dorm rooms, all the way to cleaning. They're going to have it looks like they're going to have a lot of things in the dining room that are just going to be kind of grab and go. So they seem to be all over it. You can imagine. I mean, I think they're probably at their wits' end because things change on an hourly, daily basis, it seems like these days.
Yeah, I've read some of the plans pretty extensively, and on paper, they look great. They really do. They look really well thought out. But then I think about sending these kids up to school on their own, and their ability to follow instructions and use common sense doesn't always work out. I got to tell you, as a parent of a freshman, I would be worried, especially if it was my first child through. I have one child left in college, and she's going to be a senior, and she's at a smaller school. She's at Kalamazoo College, And I'm not as concerned as I think I would be if she were a freshman going to Michigan State. It just seems that Michigan State's a larger school, and I don't know. And I keep seeing all these images of Harper's Bar and people lined up around the block to get in. I know that won't be a problem for Ben, especially as a freshman. But when you look at it and you think about the education of it, which is what's most important, do you feel like Ben sitting at home taking classes online will get as good of an education as he would in a classroom, which we now know he wouldn't get that anyway. He would just be in a dorm taking them online. But what are your concerns when it comes to the actual education?
Yeah, I would say that is a big concern, because we've seen all the emails going back and forth about what they're doing in the dorms and the dining rooms and things like that, and also in the classroom. But I'm a little nervous about the quality of the interaction that the kids are going to get when it's an online experience. I mean, we did have that you mentioned Brother Rice for a couple months at the end of last year, and they did a great job under extremely tough circumstances. But I think we have higher expectations, from a large university.
Well, and the bill's going to get a lot bigger. I know that some parents I've talked to who say their kids have reported back to them that the online classes, haven't been as difficult. Now, all the schools had to jump into action and come up with a quick plan. Now they've had more time to sort of plan it out. I did see the president of Michigan State say that they are well aware of the issue of education, and they are prepared to give as good or better education as anyone in the country. But it still makes me wonder, and I don't know if you guys talked about this at all or not, but did you talk about a gap year, or did you talk about maybe going to a community college and saving a lot of money and then going to Michigan State maybe after this is all passed?
We did. We talked about all those things. I mentioned just giving it a year off and let things kind of settle out, and he could get a job around here for a year and make some more money. And but I really think he's looking forward to moving on, and he's got a lot of friends that he's going up to Michigan State with, and they're all gun ho to get started on this next chapter of their life. And we're trying to support that. Obviously, the health and safety of our kids is top of mind, and we think with what Michigan State's doing and other schools, I think the kids that are going to be on campus are going to be in good hands.
So as of today, he's going.
As of today, he's going.
All right, Brian Wall, thanks for checking in. Good luck to your son Ben. Hopefully, we'll see him up there at a football game sometime soon.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you very much, Kevin.
Go Green. Let's take a quick break. Check in with traffic and weather with Rich Lazinski.
This report is sponsored by the podcast Forgotten, Women of Juarez. The new podcast, Forgotten, Women of Juarez, investigates a series of murders that have haunted the U.S.-Mexico border for almost 30 years. To find out more, listen to Forgotten, Women of Juarez, wherever you get your podcasts.
That accident on M59 eastbound between Adams and Crooks Road is cleared, although we have another wreck on M59 westbound between Paddock Street and Woodward, and the northbound Southfield Freeway is closed due to an accident between 8 Mile and The Lodge. Now WJR Weather first from the Weather Channel, sponsored by Clarkston Window and Door. Over 31 years in business, over 450 combined years of experience installing windows. Trust the specialists at Clarkston Window and Door. Act now to take advantage of 31% off installed windows, doors, and garage doors. 248-338-6781 or clarkstonwindow.com. Here's your forecast.
Hit and miss showers drifting on to the east, and temperatures in the 70s this afternoon. Does not really feel like an August forecast at all this week. 57 degrees our low tonight, and in the 70s for tomorrow and Thursday. 80s return late week. I'm meteorologist Scott Laurie. More on News Talk 760 WJR.
Helping.
All right, Mr. Dave.
All right.
You're staying. You're staying on with us for this last segment, right?
Eric also may be on.
All right, Eric.
Oh,
you guys got our surprise topic today yet, or no?
Yeah, we may have a surprise topic.
You never know.
You never know. You can also ask for some phone calls too if you want to.
Oh, I will. Yeah, I will. I don't know if anyone will, but I will ask.
And Mr. Positive will probably call in.
No. Hopefully he's not as angry today. Actually, maybe we should call him and check on him.
I don't know which number to call. He's got too many. Jerry says medium rare steak with fresh horseradish. Okay.
That horseradish is pretty strong. It tastes pretty good, but it will take away from the. I guess if the steak is cheap and not very good, then the more horseradish the better. But I know a lot of people who do that. But I don't put anything on mine.
I'm trying to put myself back. You know, it was a while ago, but I'm trying to put myself back in the days of going to school and going to college, and what it would be like to be forced to do virtual learning and not be able to experience everything that we were able to experience with school and with college.
Oh man, I'm telling you, I don't. It's the social part of it's so big, and being able to go away and grow up, and find out for yourself kind of how the world works, and just getting out of your own bubble, whatever your bubble is. You know, you go to school and you meet all kinds of people from all kinds of places. It's the best. But I got to tell you, it's so expensive. My kid's going back because she's a senior. It's her final year. I think if I had another kid who was just going in as a freshman, I would have them at the local community college, taking as many credits as possible, knocking that down. That would probably save. I mean, that would save $50,000 probably off their total debt.
It's true. College does not really get fun until you get out of those required courses and into something that you're actually interested in being your major. So
yeah, you take all those mandatory classes the first 2 years. And I'm not saying I
didn't go away.
I went away and I sent my kids away, and I love but I don't think you have to do it anymore. And the way the prices are now, I don't know if you're doing your kids a favor by having them come out of college owing $150,000 in debt. I mean, the
one thing I was very happy about was I had no debt coming out of college. So I was very happy about that.
My parents paid a lot of mine. I had some debt, but it wasn't much. And I remember getting a little book and having to write the little check every month and send it in. I don't remember what it was. Maybe it was $200 a month or something for 20 years or something.
All right, here we come.
A candidate in a few days. ZipRecruiter's powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free.
We were very impressed with how quickly we had quality candidates apply through ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter is a powerful tool in our hiring process.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And now you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. At ZipRecruiter.com/search. That's ZipRecruiter.com/search. ZipRecruiter.com/search.
Sitting in for Mitch, here's Kevin Dietz.
Welcome back to the Mitch Albom Show. The phone lines are open. The phone number to call is 877-44-MITCH. 877-44-MITCH. You can also text to that number if you'd like, and we'll read your text online. We talked about a lot of things today. We talked about, did you vote? I got out and voted. It was pretty quiet where I voted, and most people are reporting that's been the case for them as well. We talked about the mail being very slow, and is it a political ploy? We talked about kids in high school partying too much and catching COVID, and it has health officials worried. But we're willing to talk about anything you guys want to talk about. And joining us now, we got Eric and Dave from the studio with us. And guys, what's your topic of the day?
Well, I think that the small turnout for the voting is a big thing that you talked about earlier. And, I guess we'll find out how many people were able to mail in and how that worked. Because I know it was a big controversy leading into this primary day. So, it'll be interesting to drive home and see, because I know when I left this afternoon to come to the radio station, there were not a lot of people in the parking lot where I usually go to vote, even though I did mail in my vote. And I'll be interested to see, because I know some places were staying open later because they didn't have people show up for work to work at the polling stations. So
yeah, there were a lot of senior citizens for sure where I voted, and there's some concern that's the vulnerable age. So getting people to come in and work, especially when there was no requirement to wear masks if you were voting, is a big deal. So I know they had to move some substitute poll workers to various communities, and some opened up late. And I don't know if they're going to stay open past 8 o'clock or not. I do always like to watch the returns come in, and you turn on the news or check online to try and see who won the races. And I don't know if there's going to be a massive delay in that or not, because they have to count all the absentee ballots. But I suspect there'll be very slow returns coming in today.
are we going to find out tonight some of the results like usual if you stay up late enough, or are we not going to know for a couple of days because of all the mail-in stuff?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah, that's what was discussed, and they were saying that they think they will have some results tonight, but they're going to be delayed. They're going to be slower than usual. It just depends on how long it takes to count the ballots and how many problems there are with it. So if they get a bunch of ballots where the signature doesn't look right or something is amiss and they have to stop and huddle and talk about it, it could take a long time to get through and actually verify that a mail-in ballot is a good ballot.
I remember back in the day when I was an intern working at different radio stations, and we would be like up to like 4 o'clock in the morning with the election night coverage and counting up stuff and making sure, seeing who would win. And it was, it was crazy. But I don't know if we're going to get that today. I don't know if we're going to find out everything.
Did you guys stay up for the presidential election between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump?
Oh, yeah.
That was something. That was really something you'll never forget, to watch the way that started, and everybody, all the experts were all certain that Hillary Clinton was going to win almost no matter what. And then I don't know if it was Florida or what the first state to turn was that went the other way, and all of a sudden you could just see them sort of doing some math in their head, and then slowly. And it was slowly, but it slowly started to get to the point where they were realizing that it was becoming mathematically impossible for Hillary Clinton to win. And to just watch the emotions change, and I guess it depends on what channel you watch the results, but either way, the experts' emotions were changing, whether they were happy that Donald Trump was winning or they were disappointed that Donald Trump was winning. I was so glad that I stayed awake and watched all of that night. And the later it got, I don't remember if it was about 3 a.m, I think. And they're trying to get Donald Trump to come out on stage. And it was like, he finally came out. He's like, well, what just happened? It was almost like he was in shock as well. But as far as watching returns, I like it. I'll be going through the internet and watching the news today to see who won. And it's just a primary.
I just remember the election. What was it with was it Gore and Bush with the hanging chads in Florida?
So I got on a plane the next day and flew to Florida, and I was down there for 3.5 weeks. I thought I was going for a day or two to, say, hey, it was a really close race. Well, it was a really close race in Florida, and it all boiled down to one county down there. I think it's Palm Beach County, where they had all these people come in to see if a ballot was indented enough. They called it a pregnant chad and a hanging chad, and that case that went from court to court to court, and it was so fascinating to see how that worked. If the local court said that Gore had won, they would appeal it to the Court of Appeals, and if the Court of Appeals was Republican, they'd say Bush won, and then it would go to the next court. It went all the way up to the Florida Supreme Court, which was Republican-based at the time, and they ruled in favor of whatever the question of law was. And obviously Bush went on to win that, but I had a front row seat to that, and it was fascinating to see how the elections worked, how the court systems worked, and you really, from hour to hour, you were reporting it's definite that it looks like Gore is going to win, and then the next newscast it looks like Bush is going to win, and you were trying to figure it all out, and it seemed like, looking back on it, there should have been some expert that said, oh, it's going to go from this court to this court to this court to this court, and ultimately to the Florida Supreme Court, and that's Republican, so Bush will win. But it didn't feel that way, and it wasn't reported that way. It was a real drama playing out in real time.
Well, I was 9, so I kind of didn't follow that one very closely, but it's nice to know now.
But here's what I'm
saying. What are you saying, Eric?
I'm saying anything. I would never say anything.
What I'm looking forward to is the upcoming debates between President Trump and Joe Biden.
So did you see the story in the New York Times today? They said we should do away with debates entirely. They're unnecessary.
Oh, it's going to be must-see television between those two.
Oh, absolutely.
It's going to be great.
Are you one of those people who believes that Joe Biden is dodging the debates, or are you one of those people who thinks Joe Biden is prepping for it and ready, and it'll come out and do just fine?
I just think it's going to be very interesting because I thoroughly enjoy Donald Trump when he comes out and does those debates and when he gives a speech, and I just think he's highly entertaining. It'll be just interesting to see what happens. Biden, had to deal with all the other, Democratic nominees when we had all the other debates before he won the nomination. So I'll be interested to see how he does one-on-one.
When you watch a debate, do you make a decision, or has your mind already been made up no matter what happens in the debate?
My mind is usually made up before the debate, to be honest, but I do sometimes. I find lately I liked watching the debates between Hillary and Donald Trump. I like watching the debates with the Democratic for the nomination. I just find them kind of entertaining. I think my mind's pretty much already made up, but I just find it to be entertaining television.
Yeah, I think that the debate between President Trump and Joe Biden is going to be very highly watched. I think it's going to be very entertaining. I also think it will depend a lot on who's moderating it. I know there's going to be 3 of them. I don't know off the top of my head who has them. And so sometimes the moderator will ruin a debate by kind of making it about them. If they let them go and ask each other questions and try and answer questions and get into it, it will be a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, I think it's going to be must-see television. I think it's going to be very entertaining.
Yeah, I really don't. Joe Biden's been doing debates for 3 decades. I don't know that he's going to fall apart, but I know Donald Trump is going to be ready to go, and it's going to be very interesting. And I don't know if it'll change anyone's mind at all, Dave. I think people may be like you, and they've already decided before, but everyone will be watching. Yeah. All right, guys. Thanks for joining us in this last segment, and thanks for all your help with the show. Thanks to all our guests who came on today, and we'll have more of the Mitch Albom Show tomorrow, starting at 5:00. Right now, we're going to check in on weather and traffic with Rich Lazinski.
This report is sponsored by the podcast Forgotten, Women of Juarez. The new podcast, Forgotten, Women of Juarez, investigates a series of murders that have haunted the U.S.-Mexico border for almost 30 years. To find out more, listen to Forgotten, Women of Juarez, wherever you get your podcasts.
Our traffic first is also sponsored.
Jim in the bunker he stays. Clay, Biden will debate Trump. Barron Trump.
And the Moran Ferry, and now a new partnership with Good Fortune. Starline offers the one.
Thanks, Jim. We appreciate it. It's fun jumping in. We had some good guests today. I thought a lot of
packages at
a lot of really good people.
Jerry.com. We have a wreck on M59.
All right, Jerry. Thanks. Clay and
the freeway is closed to
Suzanne and Emily and Clint. And
now WJR Weather first.
Everybody else who stopped in today.
Sponsored by the Gym.
Appreciate it. I was looking at yesterday. I was looking at a little bit of this, and we had someone from Hawaii who was watching. I don't know if they're regular or not, but it is kind of cool that with Facebook Live you can pop in from anywhere in the world and watch.
Yeah, I thought
if that's your thing.
I thought it was a real good show today. A lot of good guests.
Yeah, it was fun. All right, well, let's do it again tomorrow then. That was that was fun. We'll try again. We'll try again tomorrow.
All right, we'll talk to you tomorrow, Kev.
Thanks. Have a great night.